next video. And yeah, to start off, this is a video for myself, just sharing positive things as well as lessons learned. But the overall theme will just be positivity. I don't have the best memory, and I don't have a diagnosis for memory issues, but yeah, I think it's just easy to forget and then lose gratitude for the things I have and the things that are part of my life. And so this is my effort to remind myself, and I'm hoping that in the process I get to encourage, inspire, or uplift other people. So something I was thinking today as my husband and I were out for a hike was just how beautiful it was to be surrounded by all the greenery, and it was just such a lush forest. And honestly, I felt like it was something that you would see in Jurassic Park. I was just like, this is absolutely breathtaking. But we stopped at this flower that had like purple leaves, and like we're going into fall. It's like we have one more week of summer, but yeah, like some of the leaves are already changing, and one of the leaves was changing from green to purple, and yeah, I think it stood out quite a bit, like, against the scenery. And yeah, and I love that he pointed it out, the unique beauty. But I think for me, it's just been interesting to live in Montana and, stand out because of my race, and then definitely stand out because of my skin color. And I think growing up in California, I stood out because sometimes it was like the only one of a few black kids in my class, but never to this degree. Never to the point where like kids were pointing and asking like what was on my skin. I was like, oh no, this is my skin color. And I just felt so uncomfortable when I first moved here, and working, and everybody saying like, oh, where are you from? Where are you from? What brought you here? Like, just all the same questions. Has your family been here? Does your family like it? Do you like it? How long have you lived in Montana? How are you doing with the winters? And it's like, people just being friendly, which I appreciated, but I just hated that I stood out, Like, if somebody that moved to Montana was white or fair-skinned, even if they weren't white, they usually weren't asked as much as I was. And I think in a sense, like, it's been good for me to have this experience because I'm not the kind of personality that likes a lot of attention. It's like, don't get me wrong, we all like attention to some degree, but I'm definitely not the someone that's like, woohoo, spotlight, give me the mic. I'm more, somebody that's just okay being in the background, mingling, having one-on-one conversations, having some like, deep, meaningful connection. That's me. So being here and learning to talk about myself more, learning how to navigate being okay with not talking about myself, like realizing like, hey, like just because somebody asks doesn't mean you have to put yourself out there, especially if you don't feel safe or if it's like inappropriate. Like sometimes people would want to know my whole life story, and I'm like, hey, this really isn't an appropriate time because I'm at work right now. And I think when I first moved here, I didn't feel empowered enough to do that, to set that boundary. But I think with time, it was really uplifting to be able to say like, hey, like let me finish my work, like let me get you prepped and make sure that you're safe, and then I'll share more. So it's been interesting. It's been an interesting journey, and I think too it's been cool to be on this journey where I've become more accepting of who I am, and just loving who I am here, of all places. And I just would never have thought that would happen. I would think I'd have more self-love being surrounded by other people who look like me and maybe have come from similar backgrounds. But it was really interesting to kind of be forced into self-acceptance and self-love, by seeing like, hey, you know, you can tear yourself down with downward comparison. You can tear yourself down with like how different you look or how different your hair is or how your skin's different or your body type is different. Or you can just learn to love yourself, you know, and learn to value yourself. And I think I'm so grateful I've learned that lesson. And I'm so grateful I've learned that beauty, like there's just beauty throughout the world, you know what I mean? There's no one type of beauty. One of my best friends used to tell me in college, she'd be like, okay, you're pretty too. Like if I'd be like, okay, but that girl's so pretty and I'm sure all the guys are gonna like her and no one's gonna like me and la la la. She's like, okay, you're pretty too. And she's pretty, so what? Like her beauty doesn't take away from yours. I think that's a lesson that I was so grateful to learn. Like, yeah, okay, you're pretty too, you know? And so I've been doing workouts with Peloton recently. And man, I really appreciate that my friend, you know, encouraged me to check the Peloton app out because it's more than just a workout program for me. Like they offer this really positive message and yeah, like I think for me, like again, being a minority in a predominantly white area, like it's cool to have instructors from all different cultures. It's been cool to listen to or to, you know, complete different workout programs in other languages because I don't hear a lot of other languages living in Montana. I used to when I lived in California and Florida, but yeah, living out here, I generally only hear English. And then I think too, like I feel, I don't know, just more accepting of my body because there's so many instructors that are all shapes and sizes, you know, and I think they all show me like strength doesn't look one way, you know, fitness doesn't look a certain way. It looks different, you know, depending on your body type, depending on your genes, you know what I mean? Like, fitness is relative. And I think prior to COVID, you know, I was super fit. People would talk to me a lot about fitness and health and all this. And that was fine. But I think to some extent, like sometimes I got a little unhealthy. You know what I mean? Like it was like, you know, yes, fitness is very important. Being healthy, good thing to do. But like there's other things in life besides working out. And in the community I live in, you know, there's a lot of very healthy people. I'm constantly inspired by seeing people that are elderly, hiking up mountains, and just being very active in their older age. Quick story. So I'm in this cycling class right now, and there's this lady who, she's got to be in her 70s, and she is a beast. I mean, just getting her heart rate way up there and lifting similar weights. Like, okay, you are amazing, but it's like hashtag goals, you know? So anyway, back to what I was saying before. Hopefully I didn't lose that thought. It's lost. But the point is, yeah, like I was fitter and, you know, taking really great classes from one of my friends in town. But like I don't know, like I think when COVID came, I wasn't going out to the gym as much, and she had like an opportunity to work out outside, and I didn't always feel motivated to wake up early and do that workout before work anymore. And anyway, so I gained weight. Around that time I was engaged, so a lot of people asked if I was pregnant, and like one coworker even, I was like, oh, when's the baby due? I was like, I'm not pregnant. And then other people would make comments like, you know, you're gonna be a great mom. Like, okay, thank you. Again, not pregnant. And so then other friends would be like, oh, you must be on birth control now. Nope, I am not on birth control. I'm not pregnant. I've gained weight, obviously, during COVID. And one of my friends was like, and I would still like, be active and do things, go on hikes, go backpacking, la la la. But I didn't realize I was overeating. And so one of my friends was like, oh, like maybe you're overeating. And that's why, you're gaining weight. It's like, okay. No one was like super rude. Maybe the comment about like, when's the baby due? Yeah. That was a bit much. But anyway, I think it was not the best time. But at the same time, I think it was good for me to go through that for multiple reasons. One, I think when I was younger, I didn't struggle with my weight at all. I was always thin. At one point, it was hard for me to gain weight. And then I moved out here, gained more weight, and I was like, healthy, active. And I would go back to California, and people were like, wow, I like this weight on you. Like, okay. And then my grandma was like, wow, you look so womanly now. I'm like, okay, thank you for all the commentary on my weight. Please stop. And so now I really try not to make comments about people's weight just because it made me feel so uncomfortable at different points in my life. But yeah, so then, I was active, but getting more commentary, and realizing like, hey, like I was skinny when I lived in California, but I wasn't consistently healthy. Like my eating habits weren't the healthiest. And I mean, I worked out like, cause I'd have classes in college, but that was pretty much it, whereas like when I moved to Montana, I was like very consistent with, working out, and eating better. And, I gained weight, but it was just like, well, whatever. Still in a good place. I'm not worried about it. But I think I idolized, fitness to a certain degree. I idolized this like certain body image and like certain weight goals and yeah, like and there's nothing against the guys that I was interested in at one point, but I can't even imagine like if I married or ended up dating certain guys and gained weight, like I just don't think they would have had a positive reaction to that. Whereas like I gained weight, not that it was intentional, but circumstantial. And I think it was really helpful to be dating and engaged and work through that with my husband. And even having like very frank conversations about like, hey, like I don't know what's going on with me. So it seems like something's happening hormonally. Yes, maybe I'm overeating. So I started tracking my eating. But before I started tracking, I think it was helpful for me to have a relationship where I felt loved unconditionally and where I didn't feel like, oh, my boyfriend, fiance is going to leave me, husband is going to leave me because I've gained weight, or is going to like put me on a diet or is going to like hound me to work out or whatever. And he didn't do any of that. I think it was just really, I think just healing for me. And as much as I didn't want to go through that time, I'm really grateful I went through it and got to see like, hey, he loves you for who you are, with more weight or with less weight. Like he loves you still, you know what I mean? And so I think that even gives me confidence that like if I get pregnant one day, that it's like, he's been through other weight gains with me, has been by my side and has loved me still, and we've had open conversations through it. So yeah, so I think there was like something really, really powerful in that timing and in that experience, that I needed to go through, and that was healing to experience, as I was in, a growing relationship. So yeah, it's really interesting. But the other thing with that is I think I'm learning to recognize that like I am strong and um and I want to be strong. Like I don't want to be skinny. I want to be strong. I want to have functional strength. I want to age well. And so I think my goals are changing. Or it's like, yeah, like I want to age well, and hopefully that means that my clothes are going to fit better and that I'm going to feel more comfortable in my skin in like a certain size. But ultimately, I'm chasing functionality. I'm not chasing the scale, and that feels a lot better. I know one of my counselors, like back in the day when I was doing counseling, which I'm so grateful I did counseling, especially before getting married. But I remember talking to her and I was like, man, I'm just struggling with my body image. And she just posed this question. She's like, what would it look like if you, instead of focusing on what you don't have, the things that you don't have that you want, and like not being a certain size or not being a certain weight, like what if instead you focus on the things that you were able to do, like the fact that you were able to hike up to the Mount Rainier base camp, or that you were able to do this hike or complete this workout, or it's like, what would it look like if you just thanked your body for being able to do these certain activities. And it really changed my mindset. And it was a really powerful like reframing, where I think I still hold on to that to this day. But I just feel very grateful for that lesson, like that weight isn't everything, that fitness isn't everything, that body image isn't everything. It's like our bodies change, and if I can be straining towards functional fitness and aging well and just feeling good, that's a good goal. So yeah, just wanted to share that positive thought, or those positive thoughts. Let's be real, not just one. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off, but hopefully that's helpful.